Welcome to another episode of me talking, and hopefully educating, entertaining, inspiring, or I thought there was a fourth one. Or motivating you. It's kind of like inspiring though, isn't it? Anyway, educating, entertaining, or inspiring is a good enough trio of things to do. Today's episode, for those of you watching on a watching platform, the reason I'm wearing a scarf is because I've come into the office on a Sunday morning and it's a bit cold in the studio area. For those of you listening, I'm wearing a scarf. I'm also drinking something that is relevant to today's recording, which is my own version of it's a high protein mocha, I guess, because I'm going to train in a bit. What I want to talk about today is the lack of sexiness in many aspects of the theory of fat loss. I mean, let's be honest, the pragmatic, the doing, the real life version of fat loss sucks, kind of. And so, there needs to be the fun elements. Also, I got a stool. I keep kicking it, so I'm going to move it. I got myself a stool. Sometimes when I'm standing, my back hurts, but I've decided that I would do my podcasts. Those of you who are on a listening platform, iTunes, Spotify, whatever. That's going to be too low, isn't it? Oh, goodness. What if I sit like that? Oh, am I the same height? Oh, no. Abort. The stool's no good. We'll have to see. Anyway, I'll put my foot back on it like that. Where was I? Fat loss sucks. It needs to have some fun elements to make it exciting. I've spoken about this before. It needs to be like an endeavour, a pursuit. It's not a punishment of yourself. It's not something that you should guilt yourself or someone else definitely not should guilt you into. Put that on a quote. No one else should guilt you into fat loss, and you certainly shouldn't guilt yourself into fat loss. It's like when I said you're not going to hate yourself into change. But the reason for recording this is I posted on my Instagram stories where I am documenting some elements of my aggressive fat loss phase, a bit more, day to day. You get to see more of the insights. I always see people going, go over to YouTube to watch this version of this and get this. My best content, the problem is if you don't like my humor or you don't care to see me with my children, you have to put up with that to get some of the nutrition education or whatever. So it is, I understand, not a great area for just purist education, but it's where I'm giving these insights into my aggressive diet. That I can give a bit more, but this is why I'm recording this, right? I put on my story and said, do you want to see what I bought at Sainsbury's? It's a bizarre world we live in, isn't it? But to be fair, people get some inspiration. Some people have already said, just seeing you do this is just kind of, I've gone, what Martin's doing, I'm just going to do it with him, which is quite cool. It's such a nice side effect of anything I do when it just randomly inspires someone in some way. I remember when I got a message from someone the first ever time saying, I haven't got children, I'm not even in a relationship, but just watching your stories inspires me to be a good father when I hopefully eventually become one. I was like, that's flipping cool. That is the kind of side effects you want to see. Or I do anyway. So yeah, people being inspired to go on fat loss programs because of it. So I said this and I was like, I want to see what's in your shopping bag, maybe some inspiration, some ideas. I've warned people against the idea of copying me per se. Now, of course, if I'm like, oh yeah, I've got this high protein mocha thing that I do. I really dislike coffee, by the way. But this is kind of quite a cool, different taste when aggressive dieting, quite low calorie. Obviously, I get the protein in there from whey and skimmed milk. And it's quite a good satiating snack. It has the caffeine. If I don't want to have yet another can of Monster Ultra, I'll switch to this. But the point of this is this kind of lack of sexiness. So there's nothing special. I essentially said I'm going to be eating about 7,000 calories over the next 7 days. I'm not actually tracking. I will say that for full transparency. Right now, I'm not tracking. I am doing my best to have 4 to 5 feedings of, and to be honest, it's probably more 3 to 5. 5 is rare. It's hard to fit 5 feedings of protein in to so few calories when I like to have some variety. Often people say to me, is this like a protein sparing modified fast? And if you've listened to any of my other content around this, I've spoken about this concept, and you just eat protein and really very little else at all. And I can't do that. So I put kind of some legumes, some bean mixes in with my aggressive diets, which means that my protein can't be as high as, so other people like 2.5 grams per kilogram of body weight protein for a protein sparing modified fast, for instance. And I can't get there. And I also have slightly higher calories, so I might be on 800 on a protein-sparing modified fast. I tend to say this. I tend to say time for a protein-sparing modified fast, which is just this insanely fast, rapid fat loss, not sustainable for any great length of time. Really, you can't. People do. In medical situations, people do. If you take a variety of supplements, I'm getting warm, maybe it's the lights. Take a variety of supplements, and get a good variety of very low calorie vegetables that you can fit in there, then okay. But I tend to say people should aim for calories of about body weight times 8 to 10 if they do that. And don't just run out and do this. That's insanely a body weight in kilograms. I probably should have said 8 to 10. Don't run out and do this. And I'm going to probably record some stuff on, and so if you're listening to this in the future, whatever, you might want to go search through my archives around the mindset around aggressive fat loss. In fact, that really ties in with today's discussion, so we'll do it today, a little bit anyway. I'm not doing that. I like to have more variety for my own adherents. Now, at the same time, it's very, very difficult to get much variety within, if I was calorie counting, I would aim for less than 1,400. I don't tend to actually feel very good at 1,400. I feel better around the 1,200, 1,100, 1,000 mark. And you'll have to go elsewhere for some of the references on on why that is with regards to actually lower calorie, very low calorie diets, reducing hunger significantly compared to moderate calorie deficit diets. And it isn't for everyone. I've spoken on this so much, so I do feel a little bit like a broken record. For those of you this is new for, go seek it out. I'm going to request for some of these individuals whose podcasts I've appeared on to allow me to have the recordings to upload to my own platforms, so that they exist within not another nutrition podcast arenas, but obviously then I can link back to them. So that you guys don't have to do too much searching. You're welcome. So this whole concept of fat loss not being too sexy. Me emptying my shopping bags out and going, this is what I'm having. It's the same foods that everyone else eats. There's no magic foods. There's no magic amount of foods. There's little things like paying attention to the amount of protein. When I said there about 3 to 5 servings, I'm trying to hit at least a decent minimum intake of protein. It often ends up about, I sort of calculated one day the other day, just in terms of protein, it was about 1.9 grams per kilogram. And squeaky shoes, sorry. And I might try, because I've not been training well at all, consistently at all, so I should expect a few newbie gains now that I'm actually putting intensity in the gym. I'm actually eating sufficient protein. I'm actually paying attention to multiple feedings of protein a day that hit leucine threshold, which is the amount of protein we need to maximally stimulate muscle growth and repair, and from a high quality protein source that's around 0.3 grams, from let's say whey protein, nothing else really, 0.3 grams times your body weight. So if you weigh 80 kilograms, that's 24 grams of protein from whey will do that. If you go to things like chicken and etc., you might want to hit more like 0.4 grams per kilogram. If you're using MyFitnessPal and putting everything in that meal, your broccoli, your sweet potato, your chicken, whatever, you might want to go more towards 0.4 to 0.5 per meal. Which does get difficult. If you're eating sweet potato, you're clearly not an aggressive diet, which is fantastic if your moderate calorie deficit is working for you. Not everyone needs to do an aggressive diet or wants to. I always talk about multi-phasic diets. I haven't said this anyway. After this aggressive phase, just so you know, I feel absolutely great. I fasted for a whole day, then the next day I ate about 800-ish calories, just looking back now. I try not to pay attention. I'm just literally eating randomly. So there's no structure. Often people go, oh, clever people that like you that have also tracked in the past, you'll know your calories just by looking. No, I don't. I am so ad hoc and random with my nutrition. There is no way I could possibly be calculating that in the background, even with my IQ. I'm not on that level. So, moderate calorie deficit, aggressive calorie deficit, foods you choose. I just went off topic and I've lost it. Damn it. I haven't found it. I'm feeling very good. And my hunger is just next to nowhere. And this should really be the goal. At least at some point, finding a sweet spot where you can not be as hungry, finding a method, finding practices, setting your lifestyle up. Hunger is not just physiological. The other day, for a period of an hour where I was cooking for the babies and all he had asked for chips, it was difficult. But as soon as they were gone, then the physiological hunger isn't there. But cues, situations, environments you're in will impact this. It's super difficult, and this is why I have so much empathy for other parents or a parent who maybe is a stay-at-home parent, and you're around kids' food and nice food all day long, or you're cooking for a family. I'm only cooking for me and the babies, but if you're cooking for a family, and you're preparing foods, it's tough, and I get that. But doing an aggressive diet doesn't make it any harder. Any diet makes it difficult because it's nice to eat junky foods. It's nice to eat high calorie whole foods. It's really nice to have roast potatoes, which are perfectly healthy, but they're super high calorie. And if you're going through a phase in your life/dieting phase, it's hard being around those foods. Multiphasic, multifaceted, I feel great. I'm not hungry at all. But at some point, it would be wrong of me with my goals to stay in aggressive calorie deficit because my body fat will come down. The size of my deficit will need to come down. Otherwise, I'll start losing lean body mass, muscle. Sorry, there is a difference between lean body mass and muscle. I should learn to say, there you go. I'm going to start saying muscle mass when I mean muscle mass for clarity's sake. Should I do some education around the difference between fat-free mass, lean body mass, and muscle mass? No, not today. If you want it, ask for it. Fill in the suggestions form, the podcast suggestion form, where you can just literally ask any question you want. Make them good questions, make it more than one, make it a topic rather than on a Wednesday, what should I... So, multiphasic. My next phase will be a slower diet. I also want to recomp a bit more, so promote my training. At the minute, I'm only going to get newbie gains for a very short amount of time. So I will want to make my diet less aggressive, more balanced, recomp a bit more until I get to a place that I'm happy to start my big muscle gain phase that I have made the decision to do. I have not done that for a long, long time. And I've obviously been, had some bad training period for a long time. I want to get back to where I was at my best and then take things to a whole new level. It is time. So, I'm going from this phase, aggressive diet, into a more moderate phase. So multiphasic. Next thing, which is really the point. I mean, where are we now? How many minutes have we been going? The next thing to talk about is this lack of sexiness. And it's that. There's no sexy foods. I'm not going to go, this is the one food. Like the charlatans in the industry, the liars, the people who have to make something sound magic so that they don't become irrelevant, or so that they can make money, or so they can mislead people, or they can create a cult following, those sorts of people. Lots of you will have heard kind of elk and almonds for breakfast, bison and nuts for breakfast. Basically the meat and nuts breakfast, which was created by Poliquin, Charles Poliquin. Just a farcical thing that sadly, because he was such a big name and because so many people lacked the backbone and integrity to maybe really speak out against him, when he was alive. I did many, many times when he was alive. And I challenged him to a debate, a big public debate, big event, huge event, 100,000 people attend this event over 3 days. And he contacted his people to debate me. He refused. Shame. Never got my chance. But, a farcical meat and nuts. But the problem is he was so big time, that still is pervasive. Is that the word I'm looking for? Alexa, what's the definition of pervasive?
The adjective pervasive is usually defined as spread throughout.
There you go. Spread throughout. Pervasive. Yeah, his information was so pervasive. God, this education, eh? It's not just nutrition. Not another nutrition podcast. It's grammar. We'll get to spelling. I'm terrible at spelling. People are still today using that meat and nut breakfast crap. I'm going to have to put an 18 plus on this episode now. And it's saddening to see. You've got the other cults, like celery juice is the big one at the minute. You've got the fish and a rice cake. Tilapia loving people who tell you it's magical. What other magical foods do people go on about? You've got your superfoods, or your kale and that rubbish, but no one really cares about that. That's kind of just... anything else super? I can't think of anything. How bizarre. Anyway, celery juice is obviously a massive one. The liars, the charlatans of the industry making stuff up about this, the celery juice craze. Anyway, we won't go there. I'm not going to be publicizing any magic foods. But at the same time, as a nutritionist, this happened to me all the time. The types of foods I was eating, or the types of, if a client had a cool idea of a meal or something, and I'd be like, that's cool, I'd implement it with me. But then I'd happen to bring it up with another client, and they'd be like, oh, that's cool, oh, that's tasty. There's only so many recipes that you have in your head any one time. Only one... snacks is the other one. This is why snack lists, for any of you practitioners out there, create snack lists. People go crazy for them. It's something I've never been into, recipes and snack lists and da-da-da. I've just not been into it. I can't motivate myself to do it. I derive no passion or motivation or energy from doing that for people. But some people flipping love it. Go to them and get that stuff. But yeah, practitioners out there, if you are happy to do that, but you're there like me going, what a silly idea. How hard is it just to go and look, find your food, see which ones are, whatever. Anyway, people love snack lists. That's why it's good to have someone like Sarah around. She loves a good snack list, recipe list. All of her clients get all cool stuff like that. So... people getting ideas from what I eat. Happy days. I keep things very limited during this time, a limited variety, consistently. And now, finally at this point, however many minutes we're on, I'm getting to the major point of this recording, and that is this. The mentality around this is much, 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 much more important than what foods I eat. In 1,000 calories, there's only a very small variety of foods. There's only a very small macro split that you can get in. One probable burning question in people's minds is around micronutrients. And micronutrients, you simply cannot. You could really, really go for it in terms of what you're choosing. The problem is in some, red meat is a lot more nutrient dense than a white meat like chicken. Organ meat, incredibly nutrient dense in terms of some of the key minerals that people supplement with. And I hate organ meat. I did once when I went through a bit of a phase doing all sorts of fancy stuff with nutrition, just really, it was a really exploratory phase for me. I was interested in the paleo movement, and I got, what was it? It was the heart and a whole one. Like, I went to my local butcher and I was like, I want to buy a whole heart of a something. Maybe it was just a cow's heart, maybe. But it was flipping massive, like it was as big as my head. And like when I chopped it in half, you literally saw left atrium, right atrium, left ventricle, right ventricle, like the 4 compartments of the heart. It was crazy. It was like quite a cool, I never went to a school where you did any of that stuff, dissect a frog or whatever. So just seeing this, he actually gave it to me for free because no one buys it. It just gets, I think, chucked away. So the little tip for you, any students listening to my post, anyone who's food bill or just, money in general. You're trying to be, what's the word? Wow. It's weird when you get mind blanks, isn't it? Just trying to be, I know. All right, shut up. Stop shouting at me. I know you know the answer. It's when you're on the spot and you forget it. It's easy for you. I can't hear you. This was probably recorded months and months ago. Stop telling me the word that I'm thinking of. I don't know it right now. It'll come to me. I keep thinking of the word thrifty. Why am I thinking of the word thrifty? I can't believe it. That's so annoying, isn't it, when that happens? Anyway, it'll come to me. When you're trying to save money and you are making good choices, it's now grating on me that I can't remember. Stop it. Get it out of your mind, Martin. Stop dwelling on the past. You can go for something like that. Offal, organ meat, liver. These things, they're cheap because they taste like ass, and not the good kind. So, not the kind you want to eat. And I did all sorts of stuff with it. I soaked it in milk, which kind of reduces the really irony taste, metallic taste, and I sautéed it with onions, and it still tasted like ass. Not the good kind, as I said. So I couldn't do it. I tried. Where was I? Nutrient-dense meat sources. Jeez, these are supposed to be short episodes. I'm just going to record things on the fly. This is what happens when you don't have any babies for the weekend. You got nothing better to do. What time is it actually? Alexa, what time is it?
The time is 12:15 p.m.
Okay.
By the way, I can also share tips on healthy eating and lifestyle. Just say, give me a nutrition tip.
Oh my goodness. I cannot believe I've caught that on camera. I just need to double check that we're filming. I can't believe I've caught it. I hope that came through on the microphone. In case it didn't, or go back and turn it up. Alexa just goes to me. I asked her what time it was. She told me. She's listening. She's listening. Right. You are going off. No, you don't need to go off. But this is, I can't turn her off because I might need her for a definition in a minute. Frugal. There's one word I was looking for. Frugal. I need to sit down. I can't believe it. Just need to make a note. I can't believe it. She's listening. She's just offered me nutrition advice because I'm clearly talking about food. That must be illegal. Is that illegal? It must be. I knew it was happening. I sort of knew it was happening. If you don't know this, right, more education about life. Have you ever seen a TikTok of a guy going and he goes up to like his girlfriend's phone and he says like PS5, PS5, PS5. And then he comes up later and he's like PlayStation 5, PlayStation 5, PlayStation 5. And she's in the shower and he like creeps in, goes up to her phone and goes, Call of Duty, PS5, PlayStation 5, Sony, PlayStation. And then walks out, right? That it's based on the concept that people are like, yeah, your phone's always listening. These things are always listening. Obviously, if you search something, you're supposed to say like an activation word so they start listening. But it's kind of known that if you do that, and we've tested it in the office, you'll start getting adverts And it happens. It does. It happens. But it's never been so blatant as that. My mind is gone. I might have to stop this and restart. Well, not restart, carry on when I've calmed down. I can't believe it. Alexa, go on then, give me some nutrition tips, healthy eating stuff.
Sorry, I don't know that.
Alexa, give me some healthy eating tips.
Okay, here's vitality. Great, here's your healthy living tip. Whatever you do, don't skip breakfast as this can cause your blood sugar to spike and dip, meaning you'll end up craving sugary foods later in the day. You can ask me for another tip, or add this to favourites.
Add to favourites.
Okay, I've added that to your favourites. You can ask for your favourites again anytime. Would you like to listen to another or return to memory?
Listen to another.
Don't forget to add a generous helping of spinach to dishes such as bolognese or lasagna. It can increase protein synthesis by 120% and helps muscle tissues repair after a workout. You can ask me for another tip, or add this to favourites.
This is mind-blowing. Spinach can increase muscle protein synthesis. Are you... Right, Shut up! Alexa, be quiet and stop listening to me.
I'm sorry I didn't catch that. You can ask me...
Alexa, stop.
Bye for now, and thanks for using Vitality.
I don't know what Vitality is. Never used it before. It wasn't activated. Yeah, I've just activated some moron inside my Alexa. Nothing. I'm thinking I'm talking to her. Wow. I'm shook. I'm honestly shook. Right, where was I? I know exactly what it was. Minerals, micronutrients. When you're eating, how do you go on from that? How do I just start? Oh, let's just chat about normal stuff. Flipping heck. Low calories. Getting your micronutrient intake. There's not a great deal of variety that you can get in 1,000 calories. So I'm not going to share anything amazing about that. Do you know what? There's been some good teaching in here, right? We learned what pervasive meant. I remembered the word frugal. Yeah, okay, that's probably everything you'd learn. No, we talked about, 8 to 10 calories. I might stop and just restart, and we'll do a new episode that will follow on, but we're going to finish there. And then the very next episode you'll hear, I will talk only, or no, don't lie, Martin. Why are you lying for? Why are you lying? You're not only going to talk about that. You can't stick to one topic. It's impossible for you. So I'll just finish off taking a multivitamin and mineral supplement if you're going to do this for any extended period of time. I've spoken about this guy who did a prolonged fast, 382 days, Mr. AB, and water only for 382 days. And he got shredded, but he did have to supplement with a multivitamin and mineral, obviously. Or did he? Hold on. No, I think he did. Yeah, I think he did. Medically supervised. Don't ever do that. Disclaimer. So I'll be taking a multivitamin and mineral. I will be trying to have some variety. I will eat vegetables. I won't just eat one vegetable. I won't just eat broccoli. I won't just eat, whatever other vegetable people choose to have. And you could go down the route of choosing a lean, because you are trying to keep fat very low, but a very lean red meat to get a slightly better variety of minerals, micro minerals, etc. Vitamins are fairly easy to get. When you are eating very, very low carb, you do obviously fiber intake becomes an issue, and it does reduce your fiber variety, which is why I would never recommend doing this for a long time unless or at least having then some phases. This is why as well I talk about these multi-phasic diets. When if you do a refeed, or you do a diet break, or even if you do aggressive refeed, or just a carb up day, I still tell people, like, try and get foods that you wouldn't eat in those phases, so that you do get different prebiotic, different probiotic foods, so prebiotic fibers. Try and get some potentially foods that contain some probiotics type stuff, but that does tend to be easier when you're having some 0% fat yogurts during aggressive phases. But whole grains, your B vitamins, getting your folic acid, getting just all these different things that we get from the carbohydrate side of things. We're all hopefully that need it, supplementing with vitamin D. But then your vitamin A, vitamin E, vitamin K, you can get vitamin K from some of your green leafy vegetables. But again, animal sources are much more bioavailable to us as animals. So getting variety, not just going to junk, because it is, you might go up to 4,000, 5,000 calories on that day, controlled. No, they're not cheats, they're planned, they're intelligent. You always have unconditional permission to eat. This is the next podcast. But, getting some of this fiber, just getting fiber from green leafy veg doesn't give you a good dietary fiber variety. That would be cool to talk about, wouldn't it? Let's just write that down. Dietary fiber variety, because none of you, honestly, how many of you consider the variety of your dietary fiber intake? You see vegetable and protein source and whatever is your variety. It needs to be better, not just... Anyway, moving on. During an aggressive fat loss phase, it is harder to get micronutrients. That's why we have different days, and I will talk about those different days in the next podcast when I talk more about the mindset of this. I hope you've enjoyed that. It's going to be shorter because I'm cutting it there because of Alexa interrupting us, listening in. Also, I'm just going to say this now. I don't hate actually, sorry, I apologise for that. It makes me laugh. It's a bit odd when someone's released like 2 podcast episodes and they're like, go review the podcast. And I don't know what number of podcast this will be when I release it. But I'm going to ask make a request. Lots of you who are listening to this will have followed me, will have benefited from my work, will have come to my tour. And I would love this information. This podcast really for me is just a bit of a passion project. I'm not going to do sponsored ads. I'm not going to start reviewing products. It's not, this isn't work for me. This isn't what pays the bills for me. It's just what I love doing, talking to people about stuff that I've spent my life learning about and I have seen change lives. And it's so motivating that I just obviously keep coming back to it. It's Pavlov's theory, isn't it? The positive reinforcement of I get this huge endorphin release when people are like, you've changed my life. You've given me my life back. Thank you so much. Thought I'd lost my sister and now I have her back. Thank you so much. So I keep doing it. So I'm going to ask you to, if you are happy to, go and review this. I think the best places to review my podcast are probably iTunes and Spotify, but anywhere. If you would if you would please take 5 minutes, if you're happy to give me 15 minutes out of your day, and you know what, screenshot the review and DM me on Instagram so I can personally thank you and say thank you so much, because I have a good memory and I just remember people. If we ever meet, I'll remember that you did that for me, and I can give you a hug if you would like one. And that's topical. Buy you a drink or whatever to say thank you. I would love for this to go to the top of iTunes' list and this, that, and the other. So that people can benefit from this information, this evidence-based information that also might entertain them or inspire them, pick them up on a down day, or change their relationship with food, or change their life. So yeah, if you would be happy to do that, this is a request from me to you. Thank you so much to those of you who are going to take the time out of your day to do that. Much love, and I'll see you on the other side.